Hi guys, welcome back to Liking Hiking. So today I'm going to go over how to try out overnight backpacking for under $200. So I always get asked, I really want to try overnight backpacking but I don't have any of the gear. Gear can definitely be super expensive, but also I think it can also be reasonable if you just want to try it out without committing to loving overnight backpacking forever and ever and spending all your money on it. Then I have some ideas for you that might help you out a little bit. So I've got some of the things with me today. So first we're going to go over the big three. So that's bag, tent, sleeping system. All right. So what I would recommend doing for a first time overnight backpacking trip is to pick a shorter trip. It doesn't matter if you could have done it in a day. That's not the point. The point is to experience the overnight backpacking experience. Just find somewhere that's easy to get to with the car or whatever and a nice campsite that you want to go to, and that's all you need to worry about. You want to pick something where it's not going to rain if possible, otherwise you might have to tweak some of this gear. And you want to pick where it's warm nights. You don't want it getting anywhere close to zero, definitely not minuses, because then you do need some of that more specialist gear. You can't just get away with, just trying out buying that cheap gear. So that would be my pro tips for a first overnight backpacking trip to make it the most comfortable from you. So if you can, I would probably recommend to your first overnight backpacking experience to go in a group. If you're going with someone more experienced, then that's great. They can help you out with a lot of stuff, but otherwise, you will have to carry all your own stuff. If you go 2 people or 3 people, whatever, generally you can share a tent out between you. So one person can carry the poles, one person can carry the fly screen bit, or one person can carry the cover or whatever. You can kind of spread that stuff out, share the load a little bit so it's not so heavy. So anyway, so I've got this 45 litre bag from Kmart, so it costs $39. All right, for 45 litres, which is fine. It obviously doesn't have all the bells and whistles that the more expensive bags have, but for $40, this is really good. So you've got 2 drink bottle pockets on the side, elastic loops, which you'll be needing because a lot of your gear, if you're buying it for the first time, is not the ultralight, super compact gear. It's some of the bigger, heavier stuff, and that's fine. All right, you've got 2 hooks here for hanging stuff off down the bottom. You've just got the one main compartment. I don't think it's not accessible by the bottom, but it is accessible by the side here. I don't know. I've never had a bag with that on the side. This is not actually my bag, just borrowing it. So then you've got your tent. Now, the reason I said pick a good weather weekend is you can get away with the lighter tents, the lighter summer tents. So your tent is, you just want something that's light, something that's small, can fit in this smaller bag. So from Kmart as well, they have $12 tents. They're single walled, so you're going to get wet from the condensation if it is a little bit chillier. And I wouldn't trust them in a storm. I think you'd probably end up getting wet. All right, so your last of your big 3 items is the sleeping bag. Now, the thing with hiking sleeping bags is you want them to compact small enough that you can fit it in this bag. All right, so your general everyday -5 sleeping bag, which I think is a general sort of nice warm sleeping bag. You're looking at this big for the bag of a sleeping bag. So obviously that's not going to work. That's going to take up your whole bag. So again, if you're going in those warmer temperatures, maybe consider a summer sleeping bag. If you already have a small sleeping bag, then that's fantastic. So for $29 at Kmart, so $30, you can get a 8-degree sleeping bag. So obviously it's not going to keep you warm in those cold temperatures. But it will be quite compact. If you are going in colder temperatures, you can get a 4-degree sleeping bag for $39 or a 0-degree sleeping bag for $49. But obviously, they're going to get bigger in size and they're also getting more expensive. Finally, as part of your sleeping system, you're not going to want to sleep just on the floor of your tent. You're going to want something in between you and the ground. The ground saps up a lot of heat. And also is not very comfortable. So keeping in our budget theme, you are not going to get the most comfortablest mat air bed thing, because those things come with a hefty price tag. But, you know, if you decide you like it, that's something you could upgrade fairly easily. Also from Kmart, which may be my favourite store, you can get a foil-lined camping mat. So it's just your general everyday thin foam mats, and then also have your some reflective foil on it to keep the body heat, you know, with you, which will keep you nice and comfortable. Okay, moving on to some of our other smaller items and stuff, things that is still, you know, overnight backpacking specific that you may or may not have, but is not your big three. So we will be moving into some of the cheaper items and some stuff that, you know, you can tweak to suit what you want. So this is not necessarily what you have to have. So I thought we'd go into like eating and cooking and that kind of thing next. So a lot of my cook gear that I have is still what I bought to try out overnight backpacking with. Like, you know, it just works well. It wasn't that expensive to start with. So you do not have to have a stove. You know, you can take food that does not require cooking, and, you know, you could save a little bit of money there. However, the food will be heavier. So if weight's a concern for you, you probably might want to consider a stove. But then again, that weighs, you know, a decent amount. So does it all equal out? Who knows? It's up to you. So I've just here got my cheap billy. So this billy came in a set of 3, and I think it was like $25 on sale. However, I did some research today, and I think I found an Anaconda, just a single billy, 1.5 litres. So I think it's probably maybe a little bit bigger than this, or the same size, for $20. So, you know, and it's just lightweight aluminium billy, nothing special about it, just your everyday typical billy. Okay, so you only need a knife if you have food that requires a knife. So I would suggest packing food that doesn't require a knife. For stove, I've got this Coleman Peak 1 stove. I think I referenced it as a Pink 4 stove in one of my earlier videos, but it's actually Peak 1. I just got confused because I thought that was a 4. Anyway, so this was around $20, and I think I found it online today for about $22. So, and normally they will have some sort of stoves that are just like, you know, some of the heavier backpacking stoves, just around $20. The stove is an item you could share with someone else. If, you know, you're going with another person or in a group, you know, you can share a stove. You might not all be able to eat at the same time, but does it really matter? Windshield, I made myself. For the first time overnight backpacking, I wouldn't stress too much about a windshield. It's really not that bad. You know, a can of fuel will be plenty for one night, even if it's windy. Fuel canisters, you know, anywhere between $8 to $10 at your local camping, hiking store, whatever, depending. Yeah, you would only need one of these. Then you need a lighter or matches or whatever you have. You probably have something that lights a flame at home, just chuck it in. You buy your cook kit, you got your big 3, but you're gonna need something to eat off of. So, once again, at my favourite store, Kmart, you can buy a collapsible cup, plate, bowl set. Probably don't need the plate, just take a bowl and a cup. If you're not a hot drinks person, you're not going to need a cup either. But all 3 come in one set together, and it only costs $8. So, I mean, just buy it and take what you use. And then for cutlery, what you can do is just go to the supermarket, buy disposable cutlery. Super light, super cheap, don't have to worry about it. If you're like super keen and you want to buy something, buy a spork. I cannot recommend a spork enough. Mine's got like a spoon, fork, knife combo. Man, never needed anything else. I forgot to say, back in sleep system, if you're a person that really needs a pillow to sleep, like I really need a pillow to sleep. I cannot sleep with no pillow. So Kmart, $2 inflatable pillow. Final piece of gear I would recommend taking is a head torch. You're going to need that for around camp. If you don't get to the camp in time and you're hiking in the dark, which I definitely don't recommend for a first overnight backpacking trip, which we did not do, but somehow has seemed to happen to us lately, you're going to want a head torch, hands-free, you know, whatever. So once again, Kmart, $4. And that's your main pieces of gear. What else you're going to want to take is clothes. Really, overnight backpacking trip, like if you want to, if it makes you feel more comfortable, take a pair of clothes to wear around camp that are also pajamas. Like, don't stress too much about clothes. It's one night. You're probably going to be out in the wilderness. No one's not going to know if you're not wearing clean clothes. I would take a light rain jacket. You should have a rain jacket around. If not, I know you can just get them really cheaply. Kmart, Big W, Target, whatever. Just a cheap rain jacket. It doesn't need to be super waterproof if you're not expecting rain. So, you know, but for showers and that, will probably be fine. On to food. So what sort of food do you take overnight backpacking for the first time? You can get, if you really want to, the freeze-dried meals. You can get breakfast, you can get lunch, you can get tea, you can get dessert. However, they are super expensive. Overnight backpacking, what are you going to need? Well, you're going to need lunch for the first day, tea, breakfast, lunch. That's it. That's all you need. It's one night. You'll survive. Maybe chuck in another packet of spare 2-minute noodles in case you don't make it back in time. Stuff from your local supermarket that's like space efficient, because again, we've got a little space to fit this food in, and weight efficient, because if you're not used to carrying a pack and it weighs 18 kilos, it's going to be a tough overnight trip. My first overnight backpacking trip, I'm pretty sure my bag weighed 9 kilos. Hiking food, you know, muesli bars, you know, chocolate is a great one to look forward to. It's got heaps of sugar, it really gives you a kick. You know, it is a great reward for a long day. Another one of my favorites, which you might have noticed in some of my videos, I don't know if it has featured or not, is pureed fruit. So you might think it's weird, and yes, I get it from the baby food aisle. I did get it one time, not from the baby food aisle, but I had added sugar in it, and I was like, I don't want that, so I just went to the baby food aisle and I got like pureed fruit. So like fruit is really good for you, and it's like got good sugar, good vitamins, all that kind of stuff. But like if you carry it in your bag, it gets squished and gross. So like why not just get already squished fruit, and it tastes great. Then for main meals, stuff like 2-minute noodles, pasta sides, instant mashed potato, the list is endless. Packet soups, but I would recommend having something with a fair amount of carbs and protein in it, because you're probably going to be hungry from all the exercise that you've just done. And then, yeah, so you can dress up your 2-minute noodles. So something that I like to do is 2-minute noodles with packet tuna. So flavored packet tuna, kind of make like a noodle tuna curry thing. I also like doing Easy Mac with beef jerky, which you know is my favorite. I've also recently started trying out the pasta sides, the different flavored pasta sides. I haven't experimented with adding anything to them yet, but you know, the list is endless what you can do, and you're only going to need 2 mainish meals, a lunch and a dinner. So if you have decided not to take a stove, that's not something you want to do, you're happy to have cold foods, I'd really recommend the bags of tuna. You can get tuna in olive oil, or you can just get like flavored tuna, or you can get plain tunas, whatever. If you like tuna, it's a really good source of protein. Otherwise, maybe some salami sticks, so you can get the cured salami that doesn't need to go in the fridge. Cheese if it's cold enough. You know, just wrap it up in some paper towel, soak up any moisture, and pick a hard cheese, and it should be fine. So I do spinach, which, you know, is perfect for the overnight backpacking trip. It only lasts one day. Just put some of it into like a little Ziploc bag, and you're good to go. You know, go shopping and just have a look around, experiment, think what does not need to go in the fridge, what's light, what is gonna, you know, taste good. So you can kind of see how you can go budget on just trying out this experience one time. I really recommend it. The other things I would recommend is secondhand gear. You can try Gumtree, eBay, you know, those type of main ones. Another idea is if you know anyone that's into overnight backpacking, ask if you can borrow some of their gear. Overnight backpackers are notorious for always upgrading their gear. So often they have a lot of old stuff just lying around that they don't use anymore because they have upgraded over time. So guys, I hope you found this video helpful and encouraging, and that if you're that person who's sitting there being like, I really want to try out overnight backpacking, I just do not know how, or I don't want to spend a lot of money on this activity that I might not enjoy, then hopefully you found this video helpful and you have some ideas and tips to get you out there trying this overnight backpacking and having a great time. So if you liked this video and you haven't yet subscribed, please consider subscribing. And other than that, I'll see you guys next time, and little bro would like to have a shout out for being my cameraman.